It's time for the Leadership Lunch Break with Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy. Let's tune in for today's discussion.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Leadership Lunch Break. I'm Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy, and I am so very excited that you joined me today as we continue our series, The 5 R's to Repair the Weary. If we're talking about being weary, we're honest that at some point in our lives, in our seasons, we find ourselves just exhausted. There's not much else we can give. We find ourselves frustrated or sad or even just at a point of being irritated and even at a point of explosion. And when that happens, it's important for us to take a moment and identify what truly brought us to that point. So when I first started writing this, the first R is rest. And what I mean by rest is not sleeping, because many of us sleep, but we may not find rest. Rest is calming the body and the spirit and the mind and focusing solely on just being one with yourself and the peace and the quiet. And that's something that I encourage every single one of you to do, is to rest. The second R is to reflect. So while you're resting, the best thing you can do for yourself is identify truly how you got to the point of weariness. So that's going back and you're thinking about the assignments, the tasks, the deliverables, the responsibilities, the commitments, all of those things that have worn you to the point of being tired, exhausted, and weary. And so you want to reflect on those things. As you're reflecting, the third R is to reposition. The good news is when you've identified all of those things, you don't have to do it anymore. So repositioning is about turning a different way. It's about changing the focus of the things you've been working on or you've committed to so that you find the joy and the happiness again. The fourth R, which we're going to talk about today, is replenish. So even right now while I'm talking to you, it's raining outside, and replenishment is about restoration. It's about filling things back up. So even the rain replenishes the earth and it replenishes the grass. Even when there's drought or there's a season of lack, that's the purpose of the rain that falls, so that there'll be growth again and stimulation and development. And that's exactly what replenishment is. You're in a situation where you think about the things that you're experiencing, the places that you're going, and you find that no matter what you do, you're not excited anymore. No matter how you move, no matter how you try to find the energy and the joy, you don't. It's probably because you need to be replenished or restored if you find yourself on E. And you know, just like with a car, if your car runs on E, you've got about a few miles. Think about it. How many of us have all pushed our car past E? You know, the light came on. You're like, oh, I got about 20 more miles. Oh, I got about 20 more miles. Oh, I got about 5 more miles. I know my car. But the truth is, the more you do that, the more you sacrifice the integrity of how the car was built. So if you find yourself running on E and you continue to push and push and push, you compromise the integrity that you were built on. So I challenge you to find ways to replenish yourself. That might be things as simple as taking a walk, spending time with friends, finding activities that really give you joy. For example, I'm an avid reader. I love to read. I am not an audiobook reader. I am a page book reader. And when I find myself just tired and depleted, spending time in quiet, just reading a book really restores and replenishes me. As I look throughout history and in the Bible, even in Exodus 17, there was a time when the Israelites, as you know, were in the wilderness much longer than they should have been. It was an 11-mile journey that took 40 years. We'll have another conversation about that. But the truth of the matter is they got to a point where they could not continue because they were thirsty, because they were hungry. And one of the things that Moses prayed about was asking God to help him so that he could restore the children of Israel, to give them the courage and the ability to continue. And so God told him to hit a rock. And when he hit the rock, out came water. So the good news is that in replenishment, there's so many places you can find that restoration. So I challenge you not to look in the traditional ways or the things that you're normally used to doing or seeing. There are so many opportunities to find a way to be replenished. Here are 3 ways that I believe that you can replenish yourself. The first one is to commune with your Creator, to commune with God. Listen, you've got to be full. You've got to be restored, because there are lives that truly depend on you. And if you're not full, you can't give anything to anyone else. Think about it. When a cup runs over, all the things that fall off of the cup, and when a cup is at a point where it's got so much liquid, the runoff is what happens, and that's what saturates the things around them. So you've got to be at a point where you are running over. So commune with God. Spend some time by yourself. Get back to the places and the things that you love, because that's truly your purpose. The second thing that I invite you to do is to find a new routine. There's no reason to continue in the same pattern. You don't want to be a hamster on the wheel, running, and not going anywhere. So if you're on E, to replenish yourself, do a new routine. Try a new direction. Try an alternative. And then the third thing I invite you to do is to truly chase small foxes. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but what it really means is make small adjustments. There are small foxes that are in your yard around you every day that you can do just to make small adjustments. So find what those things are. What are the opportunities that you have that you can make a small or a slight adjustment that will give you more time, more peace, more joy, and give you the opportunity to be restored in the way that makes you healthy and whole. I pray and I hope that you find your replenishment today. For this and all of the articles that are in this series, I invite you to go to my website, www.speakingofjoy.com, and you will find the 5 R's to repair the weary there. Until we meet again, have a great one.
Thank you for joining the Leadership Lunch Break. Join us next Thursday at noon Central Standard Time for lunch as we continue our discussions. Follow Speaking of Joy on all social media platforms or visit our website at www.speakingofjoy.com. That's www.speakingofjoye.com. Until next week.